On to our excellent guest, Helene Cooper. She's a White House correspondent for the New York Times and also the author of The House of Sugar Peach, In Search of a Lost African Childhood. Helene, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your time. In order to talk about this book, I think we have to first talk about the history of Liberia, for those in the audience that might not be familiar with it. How did it get set up, and how does that relate to your family, Helene?
Liberia was founded by freed slaves. It's the most American of all African countries. Back in 1822, a ship sailed from New York with a group of freed blacks, including my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Elijah Johnson, found Liberia. It was back during the Back to Africa movement, but this country was going through prior to the civil rights movement, prior to the Civil War, where you had a lot of freed blacks who were living in the United States at the time, and people didn't want these freed blacks here at the same time that you had the whole institution of slavery. So they came up with the idea of just send these freed blacks back to Africa. All of them did not go. Only a small handful of them actually went, and my ancestors were one of them.
Helene,
anyway,
let me stop you there for a quick second. You know, I've always wondered when I read about that, well, what happened next? They land in Liberia. How did they take over the whole place?
They basically, it's so weird, because they landed in Liberia and they set up the same kind of antebellum society that they had fled from in America, whereas except now they were the ones who were not slave owners, but they were the upper class, and the rest of the population was made up everybody else. The American Colonization Society, which is the American, basically the American company that bought this land in West Africa for these freed blacks, had paid the native Liberians at the time about $300 for a whole lot of property. The native Africans felt that they had gotten cheated. So there was conflict to begin with, but they were also still engaging in the slave trade, the native Africans there. And so you have these free slaves going back to Liberia. They already think that they're better than everybody else because they're educated, and they're looking at the Africans in much the same way that the colonial Europeans looked at the Africans, except the only difference being that these guys were black. And then you have the Africans still engaging in slave trade, which the first thing these freed blacks did when they got to Liberia was to abolish that. So the stage was set for the tension between these two groups that would last for 150 years and still to a certain extent goes on today.
And so how did that relate to your family then?
Well, for 150 years you had this two-class system in Liberia where you had the descendants of the freed slaves who made up the upper class, and they were the rich people, and they had property, and this is where my family comes from. And then you had the 95% of the rest of the population of Liberia, and these were the more poor people. These are the people that you traditionally think of when you think of poor African countries. There was this tension there in 1980. There was a military coup led by native Liberian enlisted soldiers. They overthrew the government. They killed the president. They executed his cabinet, including my cousin, who was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. My father was shot. My mom was raped, protecting me and my sisters from a similar fate. And they basically, my whole world, I was 14 years old at the time, was sort of upended.
And that is incredible. And so what did you wind up doing? What did your family wind up doing?
We ran away. And what's really, we ran away, and we not only ran away, but we left my sister behind. My parents, when I was 7 years old, had built a big house on the ocean, the house at Sugar Beach. It had 22 rooms, 7 bedrooms, and for the first time I had my own bedroom, but I was too afraid to sleep by myself. I was this spoiled princess growing up, with everything you could possibly imagine, even though I was in a country that was really, really poor. And my parents did what was in Liberia a very common custom at the time. They went to the poor people, and they asked these various families if they would let them adopt a daughter to be my playmate and who they would raise as my sister. And Eunice's mother brought her to our house. By then I was 8 years old, and Eunice was 11, and we were raised together as sisters in my house, and we went to school, and we did everything together. We slept in the same rooms because we thought we were protecting each other from the ghosts and spirits that we were convinced were outside. And then when the coup happened 6 years later and my family ran away, my mom asked Eunice to come with us. And she said no, that she wanted to stay because she didn't want to leave her mom. Even though she was living with us, she still used to see her mother all the time, and my mom used to take her to see her mom, and her mom would come to see us. And so we left, I think, kind of thinking that maybe she would eventually join us in the U.S., but, things never really happened the way you sort of expect them. And I didn't see her again for 2 decades.
As I was reading that, I thought this has got to be a disastrous decision on her part to not come to the U.S. and stay in Liberia. How did it wind up? Was it, or was she, and how did you wind up seeing her again?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because it's so easy to look at it from my perspective and not look at it from hers. You have a choice between America and Liberia, and you look at what happened to Liberia in the years that passed since then. I don't think she looks at it as a disastrous decision, but she went through hell staying in Liberia. But she got through okay. There was one point before I finally realized I had to go back to Liberia to find her. We'd completely fallen out of touch. But there was a point where I didn't know whether she was alive or dead. She came so close to getting killed so many different times. But, when you look at her now, and she's married, and she has a family, and she has children, and she probably would not say now that she would give her family up so that she could have had the shot of a better life that we got, those me and my younger sister and my family that left Liberia. But it was definitely a different and much harder life.
Yeah, of course, once you have a family, you can't say, I'd like to give them up.
No, but you zeroed in on something that I haven't even really come. You can't look at somebody and say, wow, 25 years ago you made it. But it's definitely something that I think we think about a lot, even if we don't really necessarily talk about it.
Well, Helene, we do opinions on this show. Okay, so I can give you my opinion. It was the wrong decision. I think she could have lived a much easier, and I would guess happier, although happier is a much harder question, but certainly an easier life in America, and that's a hell of a decision. But on the other hand, she wanted to stick with her mom, so I get that. We're talking to Helene Cooper. She's the White House correspondent for the New York Times, and she wrote this amazing book called The House of Sugar Beach, which we'll put up on theyoungturks.com in our library section, so you can get it from there. But I'm also curious, Helene, as to your thoughts on Liberia. What do you walk away thinking about how you guys lived, what the country turned into, and what it is now?
I have so many mixed feelings about Liberia and how we lived and what it turned into and what the situation there is now. I feel at the same time that I'm really proud of my ancestors, because I think they showed a lot of courage in going to Liberia and not knowing what they were getting into, and they built a country. I'm also at the same time very torn, because I wish so often that they could have been better people, and the idea that they set up this whole antebellum system, when I first sort of confronted that and realized that after the coup that a lot of the things that happened to us were of our own making, I felt very conflicted then, and it took me a long time to get to the point where you actually just accept the people, who we descended from, as these are the people who did what they needed to do to survive. And, it's easy for me to sit down now and be judgmental when I'm comfortable in my house in, Alexandria, Virginia, and I don't, but I don't think I would be here right now if it wasn't for them and some of what they did. So I criticize them very, with a lot of caveats. I do wish that they had, I wish the system they had set up had been a little bit more fair, but I think that's kind of being naive myself. I think the country, the country's been through so much. It's been a mess for a long time, but there have been some huge signs of hope. We've got the first woman that was ever elected a president of an African country, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was elected president in 2005. It's come out of, 23 years of civil war. Now for the last 6 years, there's been no war. It's slowly rebuilding. We don't have electricity in Liberia all over the place, but it's slowly the lights are starting to come on. I mean, really basic things that we take so much for granted here in the United States that slowly we're getting back in Liberia. So I think there's a huge upside, and I hope that the country has, because of what it's just been through, confronted a lot of the social and political turmoil of that class system and gotten it out of its system, and it's really ready to move on. But I don't know. I have enormous hope, but it's a fragile hope.
Helene, let me ask you one last question, along the lines I did with your sister, about the whole country. If they had to do it over again, you think Bad idea. They shouldn't have gone in the first place.
Wow, I've never even thought about that. No, I'm glad they went. No. I mean, if I'm going to speak from a completely selfish point of view, no, I'm really glad they went. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if they hadn't.
Well, of course, you wouldn't exist, so that's a fair point.
So, yeah,
you're
I'm not going to
motivated.
say no, I wish they hadn't.
Right, you're motivated in that direction. But, I mean, from an outside perspective, looking at it, you think, you know what? Given what happened in Liberia and given how the locals reacted and the people who came in reacted and the Civil War, et cetera, seems like they shouldn't have gone.
No, because I think if they hadn't gone, Liberia would have been colonized by the Brits. It would have been colonized by one of the other European countries, and you would have had the same type of thing that the other African countries all went through in post-colonial Africa as well.
Well, that's interesting.
So then Liberia would be, what, a smaller Nigeria? It would be a Ghana. I mean, those are better off right now than Liberia is, but not by that much.
Right. I'll tell you, it's an interesting read. The book is called The House of Sugar Peach, In Search of a Lost African Childhood. Helene Cooper, thank you so much for joining us on The Young Turks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can't get enough of The Young Turks? Well, then subscribe to the TYT's YouTube channel. What's the matter with you?